All right. Welcome, Richard, to my YouTube video channel, Upanishad Journey. Um, I know that you are running a program for self-empowerment, and I came across your profile on matchmaker.com. So I decided to first meet with you and to know more about like what are the different ways of self-empowerment and self-improvement. So if you can talk about that during the show, that will be great. But let's start with the little introduction about ourselves for our audiences. My name is Arpan Patel, and I'm a formal software engineer, but started getting more interest into Hindu literature and also into different religions as well. And I know you are coming from Christianity, so I also wanted to get into that to see how religions are at the end similar. I think they are heading to the same road. The end is same, but just a different road. And by talking with you, I just wanted to, you know, make sure that my theory or what people say is correct. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm with you right now. Can you also provide a little information about yourself?
Okay, Arpan, thank you for having me on. I saw your podcast too. I like the idea of seen and the unseen. That really resonates with me. So I felt we'd
Mhm.
be a good match. And it was great to meet with you last week and have a chat about this to get an idea. First off, I have to say to you, there's labels I don't like religion and God. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's so much animosity because we come from different religions and different faiths and different understanding of God, that when we mention religion or God, it can get the other person's goat up because we might be on the different path, we might be in a different belief system or rules or regulations about our religion. So I like the idea. I remember someone said recently, treat God as the spirit of the universe
Mm-hmm.
and treat religion as a fellowship. And that's a much more kind of welcoming kind of balance of ground that we can, so I can talk to you about the spirit of the universe, and that works for both of us, rather than me being Christian, you being Hindu, and we have our beliefs and our rules and regulations, and we're going to be at odds. At somewhere we're going to find, we have to find fault because you're a Hindu and I'm a Christian. We know our faiths don't align, so we have to find fault. But if we can both agree on the spirit of the universe, that just lets that go. We can let everyone else fight those battles. We can be one with the spirit of the universe. And then I can find fellowship in my country and my environment, and you can find fellowship in your country and your environment. And fellowship, again, is a very safe way of, like a society. It's a very nice way of talking about your tribe, your community, without being, again, offensive because you're the wrong tribe or the wrong community. So that's a very big part of it
Mm-hmm.
to begin with. So I like laying
Yeah.
that foundation. I don't like being labeled as a Christian or a Catholic or a Protestant. These are all
Mm-hmm.
man-made terms. I mean, Jesus wasn't a Christian. Man decided they started tribe called the Christians and the Baptists and the Jehovah's and you name it. But we weren't told in the Bible you are to become Christians by Jesus. There was like all the others
Yeah.
said, let's call ourselves after Jesus Christ, let's call ourselves Christians. So that kind of really triggers me sometimes. I get very frustrated because we have in our faith, we have 45,000 different churches and denominations. Did you know that? We
Mm-hmm.
Christians can't decide on one message. We have 45,000. So I find it very difficult to get that out of my head. We have 45,000 different denominations and churches. I mean, how insane is that? I mean, how utterly we have one Bible. We have God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And yet we can feck it up and have 45,000 different church and denominations because we want to be in control and do it our way. Not God's way,
Yeah.
but our way. So we have our, and I don't know if the Hindu faith have, I think you have nine gods. I could be wrong. But again, there's this kind of thing where you have people need to be in power and in control of their people or of their tribe or of whatever,
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
community. And they set up these rules and regulations. And I'd like to just bypass all that and have a relationship
Mm-hmm.
with the spirit of the universe and
Yeah.
have fellowship with you today. And we're not the same faith, but have fellowship with you today. And that works for me today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because after all, religions are made by human mind and they are product of the mind. So it doesn't matter. It's in a way trying to divide, but at the end the message is same. So For this podcast, definitely, we will just talk as human beings, putting the religions apart, and I think that way we can get most out of it by
Brilliant.
not arguing on religion or anything. It's just pure message from one
Spirit
person
of
to
the
another.
universe. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, exactly.
Okay. That works for me.
And yeah, so let's let's talk about your journey. I think you have been helping people with your program of self-empowerment, self-improvement, um, and you have made impact on people's lives. So I
Okay.
do want to, understand how your journey started
Yeah.
and what's happening right now.
Okay. Well, again, this was originally focused on a specific target. Um, there's more than 1 billion people in the world today diagnosed with mental disorders. But the problem we have is, and I remember being in therapy myself. I went to two really kind, loving, empathetic therapists. Sorry, I'm living in Thailand. There's a lot of smoke over here. Because I was a smoker in my earlier years, it affects my breathing, and I just want to apologize for that. So I'm going to be
Not
drinking
a
water an
problem.
awful lot. So please
No
forgive me for
problem.
that. Okay. So a mental disorder is a diagnosis of one person for another person. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
diagnosing another person based on their how they're presenting to me, but doesn't mean that that's who they actually are. And we've gotten to a situation where science says we're meant to deal with cause and effect. The cause is the past trauma memory. The effect is the mental disorder, the diagnosis, how you're responding, how you're reacting, how it rules and defines your life, how it's manifesting in your life. They're all the effect. But the world would have us treat the effect and not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, at the age of 12, I suffered a trauma event which filled me with such shame and self loathing. It wasn't I wanted to die, but I didn't want to live. I became very self destructive, self harming, drove into addictions and all sorts of crazy behaviors. And I really was in a dark place and pushing everybody away. I went into therapy for a couple of years, but I realized the therapists, for all the empathy and love and concern and desire to help, they were out of their depth. They couldn't see the hole in my soul. They couldn't see my broken spirit. And what I had was a broken spirit. I'd been carrying the memory of what happened to a 12-year-old child. And I was carrying the sympathy pains for him and what happened to him. But it didn't happen to the person I am today. So I'm a 64-year-old man today, Arpan. I'm living in Thailand. I'm a husband. I'm a father of two adult children who are attending university here. I'm not a 12-year-old child living in Ireland 52 years ago who suffered a trauma event.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
have a complete life today, which is really very challenging today, being a husband and a father and a therapist and a breadwinner and all that kind of stuff. I've enough on my plate today without going back into the past and taking on the pain and horrors of what happened to a 12-year-old child. It didn't happen to me. So I wanted to create a program whereby clients would be able to accept that the past was none of their business and
Mm-hmm.
find a safe way of not burying their heads in the sand and pretending that it didn't happen, because that doesn't work, but to give the details of the past back to the younger self.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole goal of my program. So the idea is that if I'm a 64-year-old man today, I'm not a 12-year-old child. I can't be in
Yeah.
two places at once. And I
Yeah.
can only deal with what this 64-year-old man has in front of him. And bringing what happened 52 years ago into my present is the worst thing I do. 'Cause I'm bringing the death and decay of a dead thing into my present and destroying everything it touches. So I created a 12-step program whereby a person like myself today goes through this holistic visualization where I involve God in the process. We need to claim a miracle. And the Christian faith
Mm-hmm.
promises people that they can perform miracles. It doesn't have, you don't be a priest or a pastor or a minister. An ordinary Joe Soap, an ordinary, boring, normal human being can perform miracles. And it's very, very simple. And the miracle we're looking for is not changing water into wine or not raising the dead. It's casting out our demons. It's quietening the voices in our heads. That's the miracle we claim. So I was racked with these voices in my head and ruminations from people pressing my buttons and triggers and nightmares. And I wouldn't get an ounce of sleep forever. And I learned how to claim my miracle and cast out the voices and cast out the demons. And suddenly I'm sleeping like a baby. Like there's no nightmares, no flashbacks, no triggers. And I realized that was my miracle. That was the first miracle I gave myself, was no nightmares and no flashbacks last night. And if I do this every
Mm-hmm.
night, I get this miracle every night. And over time, that builds up into a normal way of living. But I claimed that miracle every night. In the first 6 or 7 months, I would repeat the same process every single time and get a peace of mind that in that moment and claim that miracle. And for me, they were miracles. Someone else may not call them a miracle. Sorry. But for me, I believe they were miracles. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I suggest if you're a Hindu or you're a Buddhist or a follower of Islam, or you're an atheist or an agnostic, don't tell your family you're doing this. Do it in quiet. The Bible says go into your bedroom, lock the bedroom door, close the curtains, turn off the light, climb into your wardrobe, and then say, okay, Christian God, give me my miracle. I'm going to give you all my crap. And you get a bit of pen and paper and you write down your paper every person, place, and thing that annoys or triggers you. This is my list. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my grandparents, my boss, my colleagues, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-wife, my ex-husband, my ex-boyfriend, whatever it is. I'm giving all this to you, all my angers, all my resentments. I'm giving all to you now. Give me 8 hours of peaceful sleep, and then get
Mm-hmm.
out of the wardrobe, hop into bed, and wake up next morning, kind of going, I just got 8 hours of peaceful sleep. That's a fucking miracle for me. That's like mind blowing. If I can do that every night and get 8 hours sleep, I'm taking those miracles, and that's it. And you can go back to being a Hindu or an Islam, whatever you want during the day amongst your family and friends. But at night time, just make a decision to say, okay, my Hindu faith or my Islam faith doesn't give me miracles, but the Christian faith does. I'll take the miracles off you. At night time, I'll give you all my crap, and during the day, I'll go about my normal way of living with my family and my friends. And that's okay. That really is
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your understanding of the spirit of the universe is, the spirit of the universe wants you to be happy. Now, how you're going to do that, or I really get caught up in how the fact that we can all argue about my spirit of the universe, my interpretation of the spirit of the universe is more important than your interpretation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we come from different cultures, we grew up in different families. Our understanding is going to be completely different. What the food
Yeah.
we eat, how we speak, our languages, our customs, our rituals, they're all different. So we're going to think differently. And if we're conditioned to think of the spirit of the universe in a specific way and it works for us, well, I think the spirit of the universe would be very happy that you're actually believing in something outside of yourself that's trying to help you. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
Christian
Mm-hmm.
belief. This is not I mean, for me to say this, most Christians would be up in arms at me. Who am I to suggest it's okay to remain a Hindu or a Buddhist or whatever? And it's not my job to say, it's not my job to decide for you what you should do. I can only
Mm-hmm.
witness to you that what works for me is this. I believe there's a God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. I believe that if I believe in God the Father, I become a child of God. If I believe in Jesus, I become a sibling of Jesus. And I believe in the Christ, I become the Christ. The Christian Bible says that the kingdom of God is within you, that when we use the words I am, we're invoking God in our lives. So if I'm going to invoke God's name of I am, I'm going to hallowed be his name. I better attach good things to the concept of I am and not negative. So I better start saying things, I am happy, joyous, and free, rather than saying I am scarcity, I am poverty, and I hate my life. Because whenever I attach to God's name, I'm manifesting into my life. So I don't know if you have that in your Hindu faith, but if we use God's name, attach something that's good to God's name and not something that's negative, because otherwise we're just self-sabotaging.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same thing happens in the religion. Like people, people do blame God more than thanking, which is exactly opposite, right? And that's what we are talking about. So ultimately, the way I'm seeing is it's basically what we are talking about is mind and the power of mind. You can use your brain believing in whichever thing. Maybe it could be just a rose or a pencil, doesn't matter. It's something object God, but use that to, focus and rewire your brain to have positive thinking, because negative thinking anyway doesn't help. It just breaks us and keep breaking us from inside. So looking at the world, like what would the world has to offer, how many different things, different opportunities, different people, and use that to contemplate and realize that there is much more than my pain. There is much more. The world is too big for me to just think about my small petty pains, right? Uh,
Well, the problem with that is by nature, we're selfish and self-centered. So that
yeah,
glorious thing is to
yeah.
look out beyond us. But when it comes down to it, we're living in a fallen world that really doesn't care about us. And it's a case of there's no one else to look after us on this earth but ourselves. For to look after, if we're on our own, if you're in a family, in a good living family, then you have your partner to support you. But
Mm-hmm.
many people are on their own and there's no one taking care of them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you see it over and over again,
Yeah.
how the little people get stepped on. So the idea of looking beyond your pain at the world's pain just doesn't come into it. And the idea of that is wonderful. But the reality is I have to deal with what's on my plate today. All I can deal with is my side of the street. If I leave our pan alone, I leave my wife alone and everybody else, and I just focus on what can I do for Richard today, that I can be at peace in my mind. Well, one, I can cast out the voices in my head. I can cast out my demons. I can let go of the past. I can not concern myself with the future. It's good to make plans for the future, but I may not wake up tomorrow. So I just focus on these 24 hours. And if I can give 8 hours of my 24 hours to God at nighttime, I only have to focus on 16 hours. And how easier is it to focus on 16 hours than my last 64 years and the next 20 years? If I just focus on 16 hours of 8 hours of work and 8 hours of play and just clean my side of the street. And if we each of
Mm-hmm.
us cleaned our side of the street, there will be a better place. So if I look after me in my 16 hours and you look after you in your 16 hours and all the other members of your audience look after them and them alone in those 16 hours, all our environments, all our communities would improve by the fact that we are
Right.
taking care of ourselves, that we are looking after ourselves. People would,
Right.
they would tap into our energy. The new Richard would be so empowering. They'd want a bit of what I have to offer. They'd be kind of going, I want to invite Richard to that party because he's got a great energy. I want to invite our pan to that party. And if we can get our pan and Richard to come at the same time, can you imagine the effects it's going to have on everybody else? So if we look after ourselves and heal ourselves by letting go of the past and focusing on these 16 hours, everything changes. But we can't do it alone. That's the big thing. We have to find some way of letting the spirit of the universe into our lives.
But that again, I'm a little confused. So you're talking about the spirit of universe. Isn't it same as considering everyone part of the same universe? Like it includes the people around, or doesn't it?
No. So,
So
so
first, so
first of
let
all,
me one
okay,
more.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That means rather than start improving other people's lives, just focus on yours. If you can improve your own self, that means people will look at you as an example and they will come to you because that's the energy we are talking about. They will talk to you like why you are doing such thing or how you are doing, and you can become an example, and they will change by themselves now by just looking at you. Is that?
Well, the idea is that if each of us were to look after ourselves, I mean, when you think about it, if it's in Ireland, there's 6 million people living in Ireland. Here in Thailand, there's 65 million people. If each person here, whatever their understanding of the spirit of the universe is, if they made a concerted effort to clean their side of the street, not to
Mm-hmm.
hold anger and resentment, not to be racist or bigoted, to try and be the best version of who they are, to
Mm-hmm.
not to be selfish, self-centered at the expense of others. So it's good to take care
Yes,
of yourself and to be self-centered in that regard, but not if it's going to cost someone else their freedom or their well-being.
exactly.
So you don't
Yep.
rob, cheat, steal, you don't murder, you don't, and so on. Okay, but if I can say okay, so for myself, I've decided I've been obese for a while. You get into the very relaxed thing of sitting on the couch and eating crap, watching TV or on the PC. So I intermittent fast. So I eat from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. and then my meals stop. That's one thing of me looking after my body, which is meant to be the temple of the
Mm.
kingdom of God. I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of praying, I do a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation. Not very good at meditation, but I still do it. I make sure it's a
Mm-hmm.
part of my daily pastime. I have a series of spiritual authors that I really like. I listen to these guys on audio files and I read their books, and that helps me an awful lot. I'll give you an idea. My wife is a Buddhist, and she's a much
Hmm.
better Christian. She's a much better Christian than I ever could be. But the days she remembers to chant her Buddhist chants at night time before she goes to bed, it's much better for her than if she doesn't chant. She's much more comfortable the
Mm.
next day, much more at peace the next day. If the
Mm-hmm.
previous night she's done her half an hour of Buddhist chanting. Now, in the Christian faith, it says, don't repeat the same thing over and over again like the Pharisees. have a personal conversation. You say, God, I'm having a shit day. Take it off me. God, I hate this fucking shit. Be okay about talking to God like you're talking to a friend, and to
Mm-hmm.
have a real honest conversation. But the Buddhist faith is you're given a series of chants and you repeat this chant
Yeah.
over the same chant. Okay. So, and different faiths have different ways. But I know my wife that when she does her chanting at nighttime, and it's in Thai, so I don't understand a word of it. She'll chant for a half an hour and then she'll go to bed. She'll sleep like a baby. She'll wake up next morning and she's a different person than the day she forgets to do her meditation and she goes to bed. She can wake up cranky the next day. The same thing with myself. If I do my prayer and meditation at nighttime, I sleep much better. When I wake up in the morning, I'm a different, kinder, caring, more calm person. If I don't pray and meditate before I go to bed at night, I wake up cranky and reactive during the day. Like the head off
Mm-hmm.
people, give out, where's my breakfast? Where's my blah blah? I've got to meet our pan, where's my stuff? Get out of my way. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
in the zone. So having a relationship with the spirit of the universe. I'm using this because I know you're a Hindu and I'm Christian, and to kind of cover all the audience. So whatever your understanding of the spirit of the universe is, and even if you don't have an understanding of a spirit of the
Mm-hmm.
universe, give the spirit of the universe a second chance. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will benefit you amazingly. So you don't have to join any church, any denomination, or any religion. Just climb into your wardrobe and shut the door and say, okay, spirit of the universe, this is my day. It's really going crap. I'm having a horrible time. I'd like some peace of mind for the next 30 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever you want. You ask him for that. You write down on a sheet of paper what it is you're giving him, and you read it out loud. So you're actually giving it to him. And then you take that page and you go into the bathroom, you turn the page up, you light it, and a burnt offering, you flush it down the toilet. And when it leaves your environment, it's gone. And this means that whatever you've asked for, 3 minutes or 30 minutes or 3 hours, that's what you're going to receive, peace of mind for that period of time. And then you realize, I don't have to join a religion or a denomination or stand in a street
Mm-hmm.
corner. I can do this in my wardrobe and I get 3 hours of peace of mind. I can do this. I can remain a Hindu and then get my 3 hours of the Christian God. I'll do that. I can remain a follower of Islam or a Buddhist or whatever, an atheist. So if my tribe are atheists and unbelievers, and I like my tribe, I don't want to leave them. In the privacy of my bedroom, I can talk to God. And when I'm out in the street with my family and friends, I can bitch and moan about God. That's okay. I mean, that is so wonderfully freeing that
Mm-hmm.
we're allowed to be, whatever that be meant to be for you and I, we're allowed to be. That changes everything.
Yeah, all you need a piece of paper and a pen and write it down, burn it and flush into toilet. Doesn't matter what religion you are from. It's a one of the great tool that people can use, um, and easily available, right? You don't have to you just have to talk to yourself, convince it, and write it down. So,
And so if God is
um,
within you, you're talking to yourself. You're saying, "Okay, God, you're inside of me. You know what's in there already, but I need to say it verbally
mhm,
to know, to show that I'm giving it to you, and I want you to
yeah.
take it out of my psyche for the next 30 minutes. Just give me peace of mind. If I get 30 minutes, I've got an interview in 30 minutes time. If I can go into my interview peaceful, it'll make a huge difference.
Hmm.
To give me
Yeah.
peace of mind for 30 minutes. And you find out he's giving you peace of mind for 30 minutes plus for the interview. So you go in and you just nail the interview. You're this calm, collected person in the interview, not reacting, and you come out kind of going, I asked for 30 minutes, he gave me an hour and a half. Thank you, Lord. And that's it. Just thank you very much. And the next time you need us, do the same thing again. And if it's not in your wardrobe, you can go into a public toilet. You can sit in your car and do it. You can go into the woods or into a park, anywhere. Or and after a while, you get so used to it. In that moment, you stand and say, "Okay, God, I'm in my mind. I'm giving you this now." And I see myself reading it from a sheet of paper. I see myself burning this piece of paper,
Yeah.
and flushing it down the toilet in my mind. And no one, and people in front of you, they don't see you doing this, and you're doing
It,
this in front of them, and
yeah.
suddenly you feel better for it. So it's an inside job. It's always been an inside job. That's probably the
Yeah.
main thing about empowerment. If we can change our attitude, our outlook, and our perspective, everything changes.
And exactly. So again, that's what I was in the beginning. That's what I was aiming for or talking about, which is like regardless of the religion, Hindu religion also just says one thing over and over and over, which is like it is all about you. So if you can become a better person, then things will happen. So don't try to change the world. Change yourself first. And that's where I think we are meeting again at the end of the road, regardless of the mindset or religion or theories we are coming from, but they meet at the same end, and which already tells everyone that the end goal is same, just roads are different, so religions are different, so there is no point of arguing or fighting over what Christian God says or what Hindu God says, because they are ultimately leading to the same path. Yeah,
but we all hope it's the same path, but we might be taking different paths to hopefully the same destination. I'd like to
same
think there's one.
destination. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to think that it is one destination, and it's not a case of I'm on the right path and you're on the wrong path. I wouldn't like to wish that in anybody, because I believe
Mm-hmm.
anyone who has a belief in the spirit of the universe is so far ahead of people who don't have any belief at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're on some path in the right general direction. But again, I come back to your podcast, which attracted me to you in the first place, the seen and the unseen. No one can see me having a conversation with God. This is the unseen. But by having the unseen conversation with God, or sorry, with the spirit of the universe, what they see of me, I'm a changed person.
Yes.
Where if I'm not all me, oh, everyone hates me, no one likes me, I hate my life, I can't trust anybody. So to suddenly ask God, take all that from me, and suddenly I'm peaceful and serene. They're kind of going, is Richie on drugs? He's not bitching and moaning about anything. What's he calm and relaxed about? They're going to see a different me because of the unseen conversation I'm having with God, with the spirit of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So can I, so is it also true in that sense that faith or religion or God is a tool, right? Can we say that?
But again, I don't like putting religion with faith and with God. I'd even
I understand. I
faith is
understand.
okay. Faith's the big thing, and faith is so far above man's conception of religion and God. As you walk into a room, the room is dark, and you turn on the lights, and the turn the switch and the light comes on. That's an inbuilt faith in you that when you turn on the switch, the light comes on. That's the
Mm-hmm.
level of faith. That it's an automatic belief that you turn on the switch, the light comes on. So
Mm-hmm.
faith is it's another level completely of complete trust. Complete trust. Now, religion, I find it very hard to have complete trust in religion because, again, in my faith, there's 45,000 different denominations. You don't know if you're on the right. That's the one thing really confused me about this Christian faith. If there's 45,000 different churches and denominations, and we're meant to be on the right path or we're going to go to hell, how do you choose which of those 45 that, so I'm a Christian and I'm doing my Christian thing, and I get to the pearly gates and Peter says, sorry, no, Christian, no, you're meant to be a Catholic, no, you're going to hell. Oh, you're Catholic, no, you're meant to be a Protestant, you're going to hell. It seems to be so farcical that if I'm not in the right denomination, I'm screwed. So I can
Mm-hmm.
follow and believe in God, and then someone tells me, no, no, you're in the wrong one, you're on the wrong bus, that bus goes to fucking whatever, to India, and you're meant to be going to Sri Lanka. So I'm sorry, you're on the wrong bus. It's like it just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense that they have so many. So I think man has really messed this up for man, having so many different denominations, so many
Mm-hmm.
religions, so many concepts of the spirit of the universe. But if we can be on a page of if I am chasing the spirit of the universe, if my whole goal is to be an extension of the spirit of the universe, and then I'm on the right path. And it's not for
Mm-hmm.
someone else to tell me, no, you're on the path. It's for the spirit of the universe to tell me I'm happy with your work or I'm unhappy with your work. That's at the end of the day all that matters. It's his final decision. And if I pray to the spirit of the universe and he meets my prayers and he gives me peace of mind, then I have to believe that I'm on the right path. Even though other people won't agree because I don't go to church, because I don't do all the church stuff and all that kind of stuff, because I do my own way, I'm doing it wrong. If it's working for me, I stick at this. But if it wasn't working, I'd have to change and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in the Catholic faith, that didn't work for me. I tried the Protestant faith, it didn't work for me. Now, it worked for many other people, it didn't work for me. I tried the
Mm-hmm.
Baptist faith, it didn't work for me. I tried the Presbyterian faith, it didn't work for me. So now I just have myself and my Bible. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And I just follow my path and I try to be a tool of God. So it's a faith, the big thing. So I need to get my faith in God to the same level of my faith that when I turn on that light switch, the light's going to come on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're striving to do, is that I know if I say, God, help me. So yesterday, I tell you, yesterday I had a moment of terrible depression out of nowhere. I just
Mm-hmm.
felt very depressed. Now, and my daughter told me that there was an earthquake about 100 miles away here in Thailand. I didn't know about. Maybe that had something to do with it. But in one moment, I went from being okay to feeling severely depressed. And in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, I realized, hang on, God is my source. God is the source of everything. He's a source of my joy and my peace of mind. So, okay, Lord, you're the source of my peace of mind. Take this depression from me and grant me peace of mind. And in a split moment, my depression was gone and I had peace of mind. Now, I know for a fact, Arpan, I could have chosen to stay in that depression. And I know
Mm-hmm.
what that depression can do. I can go to the depths of despair in a split moment. It can
Mm-hmm.
take me
Mm-hmm.
a while to go to joy, happiness, and freedom, but it take me only a second to go to victimhood and depression. I think we've been conditioned to be
Yeah.
depressed, to be a victim
Yeah.
naturally,
Yeah.
whereas the idea of being happy, joyful, and free and to trust God is so abhorrent to the culture and society of today that it's much easier to be a victim and depressed than it is to be happy, joyous, and free. And I said
Yeah.
nothing's
Yeah.
changed in my life. All the stuff that was causing the depression is still there, but I've given
Yeah.
it over to God and He's in charge of it, and I feel better in myself. Now, the same stuff that had me depressed is still there. What had me depressed
Yeah.
yesterday is still there.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, why aren't you still depressed today? Because the same stuff is still there. You got the same still crap in your life. But today, God's in charge. So it's not none of my business. If God's in charge, He created the universe. He can if He can do with my crap in a moment. So I keep saying God, Spirit of the universe. He created everything. So if He can create everything, He can deal with my stuff in a split second when He's ready to. So just leave it to Him, and
Mm-hmm.
He'll deal with that. And that's why I'm here. I'm in perfect peace today, Arpan. When yesterday, at this time yesterday, I was in the I was close to the depths of despair. I mean, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't trust the Spirit of the universe, I go to a dark place. On my own,
Yeah.
I go to a dark place,
Yeah.
And it's that choice of
Yeah.
making that decision. Am I going to go to my dark place where I'm comfortable, where I'm a victim and a martyr and it's me against the world and no one cares? Or do I choose, okay, Lord, Spirit of the universe, you're in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Not my business. I'll just now meet up at our pants today, take my dogs for a walk, go shopping with my wife, just do the normal stuff and forget the rest
Mm-hmm.
stuff behind me because you'll take care of it. And that's what I
Yeah.
choose to do today.
Yeah, with that, I would like to draw a parallel about which I was reading. Like this is scientifically prove about about our minds. That our mind usually works on a DMN, the default mode network, right? And the job of the default mode network is to constantly think and not think positively, but it's about thinking most of the time negative thoughts. That includes the depression. That's job of our mind, and that is what you exactly said. That and that's why it reminded me of that. This is like more uh, sciencey. So whatever we are believing unknowingly, we are uh, talking about deep science as well. Um, and in order to silence that DMN, we usually in our religion suggested that you chant the mantras exactly same way your wife does. Um, and mantras are not just simply words. They are power pack, the words packed with deeper, insight into that. So when you are chanting the
Mm.
mantra, you get the insight what exactly this mantra is trying to tell you, like what is like significant meaning behind that, and it just goes into your mind like flashcards,
Yeah.
and then it creates a positive vibe, and it takes you out of negative thoughts, environments, and whatever to make your day tomorrow better. So that just
There's a,
reminded me.
there's a Christian concept to this which blew me away. And I learned this from a 64-year-old Protestant, sorry, an 82-year-old Protestant minister about a year and a half ago. He says, it blew me. I didn't know this. I'm 64 years of age. I had no idea this. And here it is. God. Okay, so the Spirit of the universe answers all our prayers all day long. Our prayers aren't, I'm sorry, our prayers aren't what we learned at our mother's knee or what we learned in school or church. Our prayers are the self-talk we say to ourselves when we think no one's listening. These are our prayers. They're not
Yeah.
other people's prayers. Other people's prayers are very powerful, like mantras. They're very powerful, but they're written by somebody else. And for that person, they are hugely effective. They have power, but they're not our power because they're not our own making. If we can take a mantra and model it to our needs, it becomes powerful. If we can take a
Mm-hmm.
prayer like the Lord's Prayer, Serenity Prayer, and model it to our needs, it becomes powerful. But on its own, it's not our prayer, so it's not our power. Our
Mm-hmm.
prayers are our self-talk. And God answers our prayers tenfold. Now, He doesn't understand why. He's flabbergasted why we choose scarcity and poverty and depression when He gave us free will in the book of instructions on how to use it properly. And the book of instructions says, when you focus on anything, focus on things that are virtuous. So, like your mantra, you say, I am love, I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable. I am happy, joyous, and free. I am prosperous, I am wealthy, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a trillionaire. I am
Mm-hmm.
married, I'm in a great job, I love my work. You these are your prayers. And the more you say these positive affirmations as your prayers, these are what God's here. And he kind of goes, oh, Arpan's changed his tune. He's no longer depressed. Now he's happy, okay? And then you experience 10 expressions in your life of being happy. Maybe you hear
Mm-hmm.
a baby being born, you hear a child laughing in the park, you see some beautiful sunset, someone tells you a joke and you can't stop laughing, you see something funny on TikTok or YouTube, something happens to make you feel happy and joy, and you kind of go, God heard my prayer because I've had 10 expressions of being happy today. And you
Mm-hmm.
realize,
Mm-hmm.
like that DMN, whatever we focus on, we manifest in our lives. So why
Mm-hmm.
not manifest things that are happy, joyous, free, rather than manifesting things that are depression and despair? So what we have to do is we have to change our old beliefs. So what I share with my clients is a simple prayer where you say, up until this morning, I felt depressed, or I felt broken, or I felt anxious, or I felt not loved. But then I came on to Arpan's post podcast, and I got the message that my problem is the voices in my head. And if I can change the voice, if I can stop the voice in my head and replace them with something that's positive and loving, everything will change. And so I choose today to say, I am happy, joyous, and free. I am full of hope. I love my
Mm-hmm.
life. And thank you, Arpan. And that's it. And that's your prayer you're going to use now all day long. So all day
Mm-hmm.
during your day, repeat that prayer over and over again. Maybe record it on your phone and you play that back to yourself. But you repeat that prayer 10, 20, 30 times today. And then tomorrow you'll say, yesterday I was feeling this way. And then I went to Arpan's show when I felt this way. And then you repeat that for the whole day. And then in 2 days' time, you're saying, in the past, I was this way, but now I'm
Yeah.
this way. And
Yeah.
then long ago, I was this way, but now I'm this way. And the further you push yourself away from the past thinking into new thinking, you do this for 30 days. By day 10, you will be a completely new person. You won't believe how much your life has changed. And it's just by you changing your focus.
Right. Right. So that was a great message. And with that message, I think we are running out of time. But I would like to definitely continue our conversation on different topics.
Mm.
So we will decide when to meet again, but I would like to meet you again. And I definitely thank you very much for being with me on my show, for my audience, for your guidance. Appreciate being here. Thank you.
Well, Arpan, we knew with seen and unseen, there's going to be a lot unseen and a lot to see yet. And I'm looking forward to working with you again. There's so much more to talk about. This is a huge, big topic that we need our people to see, our tribes to see that we're not alone. We aren't alone. And there's every opportunity for us to have a life of abundance if we just know how to think and behave differently. Arpan, thank you very much for having me. Thank you all for listening to me. I hope I didn't speak too fast. I hope you understood me. God bless you all. Or may the
Thank
spirit of the
you.
universe bless you all.
Bye bye. Thank you.